That's right. That's right.
Awesome. All right. Well, welcome back to Quid Pro Fro. We're happy to have our audience back, have our allies back, and we're definitely happy to have our guests back. We have our brother Chance McGee, who's joining us all the way from Germany, and we have our brother Delante Bess, who's joining us from Illinois. So thank you both for joining us again on Quid Pro Fro, man. I'm looking forward to a chill yet in-depth conversation. It's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure, as it normally is. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
So yeah, I would say good morning. It's good morning for me. I know it's good afternoon for you, Chance, and it's probably good afternoon for you, Delante, or good morning. So,
Late
so how
Good
morning.
you?
morning. Good
Yeah, man, how you
afternoon.
brothers doing? Yes,
Yeah, pretty
sir.
good, pretty good. No, I was telling you this morning how I was on a bike ride today, which is
Yeah,
first time I did that honestly since I was like in college, so it's been a minute. And then I remembered I'm in Germany. Sometimes I'll be forgetting I'm out here in Germany because I'm riding my bicycle on the sidewalk, and there's this
yeah,
older gentleman who's walking towards me, and there's two lanes, one for pedestrians and the smaller
yeah.
one for bicycles. Old man, old German, walking right in the middle, looking right at me, dead right at me. I'm like, bro, and I stop. I get right in front of him. I stop, and I'm like, What's up? What's going on?" And he said in German, "This is the wrong side. You can't do this on the wrong side. On the wrong side." I was like, "What you talking about, bro? This is a bicycle." And I started to have an argument with him, and I was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, I gotta check myself. I gotta check myself because Germans are known for being sticklers for rules. And if I'm not careful, I'm gonna get in an argument with somebody and it's gonna drain my energy." So I had to stop, and I said,
yeah.
"Listen, I think you're wrong, but it's not that big of a deal. I wish you well," and I left. So I'm riding my
Yeah.
bike. I'm feeling good, and then I realized I was on the wrong side of the sidewalk. I
Oh
was actually
wow.
on the wrong side. You know what I mean? So it was like, oh, wait a
Yeah.
minute. He was following the rules and I wasn't, but I kept my energy
Yeah.
high. And that's kind of like for me what mental health is. It's like moving through life, knowing who you are, keeping the energy high, not being affected by low energy, even when you're wrong, even when you make mistakes, like I wouldn't throw nothing at that man. I told him in love, "Hey man, I think you're wrong, but it's all good. I'm gonna keep going." So it was easy for me to admit I was wrong because I wasn't too invested. You know what I mean? Like I was just invested enough.
For sure, for sure. So wait. So he was right, but he might have came off the wrong way with a little low energy, and you were wrong in that occasion. But your high, you came with some high frequency. So
Yeah,
so we'll make
yeah.
it. We'll make it work next time.
Balance it out, yeah.
I feel you. I feel you, man. I feel you. Yeah, cycling is so important, man. Like out here in San Diego, there's a lot of just natural beauty, such as lakes and mountains and what have you. And there's a particular lake over by me, a 7 Mile lake, where you can go for a run, you can go for a bike ride. It's so awesome, man. I see people riding all the time, and it's just so healthy, man. I totally encourage this audience to be as fit as you can, engage in as much exercise as you can, and go out and enjoy nature anytime an opportunity presents. It's so fulfilling. So that's pretty awesome, Chance, that you got to, get some exercise this morning. Did you go with the family, or
No, it
did
was
you go
just me.
just you? Okay,
I
okay,
took some alone time, mental health alone time. I needed it and I
Nice,
enjoyed it.
nice.
yeah, man. That's pretty dope, man. That's pretty dope. What about you, Delante? How you doing today, man?
Hey, I'm great. I love this conversation. I hope we can do, maybe we get together and do. But I'm a big biker. I'm a big cyclist. I told you guys earlier. I got a few bikes, so I didn't. I definitely didn't wait as long as college. Like, Chance,
Okay,
that, and for me, that's
okay.
even longer. So yeah, no, I'm out there pretty regularly. But I'm in Illinois, so I don't have the beautiful weather. I miss that California, those California hills, and that
Yeah, man.
weather where you can ride all year long. So here in Illinois, Chicago area, you may be able to get that 4 months.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
soon as it gets warm, everybody starts swarming out. So,
Yes,
and then
bro.
it gets to a point where we got to do everything right now, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right, get it in.
When it's hot. And I'm trying to see if I can pace myself a little bit, but because the cold here is brutal, and biking out in the cold is just. I mean, I see some soldiers try to do that, but nah, I'm
Yeah,
not.
no,
That's not for
man.
me. That's not for
No.
me. You got mask on, and you're breathing, and your snot is turning to frozen and whatnot while you're breathing.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Hard
Not
Right.
times.
trying to,
Hard
not trying to do
times.
it. Not trying to do it. Not trying to do it. You go in the store and a coffee store. You're looking like a 5-year-old kid. So I just I,
Right.
I'm getting in my 4 or 5 months of the spring and summer, fall too. Actually, fall is kind of nice. But yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you, Antoine. Man, get out there, get your exercise, and in a period where we're so heavily relying on technology, and
Yeah.
studies show that, especially Americans, but maybe in Germany as well, Chance, we stay indoors so much. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it was an extraordinary number, like 80% or something like that of our
Mm.
time. It may be even higher. I can't remember our time is indoors. And
Hmm.
as a technologist, I've been in this field for over 20 years in technology and development and programming and AI, and I
Hmm.
still stress get out.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
hope people are going to. I think I'm starting to see a little bit of it, that people are saying let's get outside, let's start having human connection, let's start breathing,
Yeah.
feeling the trees a little bit and the oxygen of the tree, really getting.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm starting to see a little bit of that. It's almost like a pushback, a silent
Hmm.
pushback against all the technology and the bombardment of things coming at you. And
Hmm.
I appreciate that. I think people are just let's, hey, get to the human qualities. Yes, this
Yeah.
technology is awesome. I showed you guys one thing that I built, an application I built using an app, a platform that can build out
Hmm.
an app in
Yo,
10 minutes.
that was so wild, man. That was so wild because the video was just 10 minutes. And
Right.
you explained everything, and I was like, "This should take at least an hour. This should be a course that you pay like $1,000 for." And you were like, "Yeah, let me just explain some basics." That was wild.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So the stuff out there is amazing. And I can geek out for hours on this, but it's just the AI is getting better and better and better. And frankly, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to be in
Yeah.
trouble if people aren't in front of it, and our people better get out in front of this stuff. And so I'm warning it, but I'm also participating in the action to educate our people, right, and really take advantage of these tools
Oh yeah.
for our advantage, so we can be out in front, because we don't want to be dragging behind as we have been. I'm talking about our colored folks. That's the thing. So all that to say, Antoine, did you ask?
Hmm.
I'm doing well. I'm out. It's starting to get warm, man.
Yeah.
Starting to
Yeah.
get warm. So I have been on a couple bike rides, one with the fam and then one solo as well, or with a buddy actually, who bikes out here with me. Um, and hitting the gym. Gotta
There you go. There you go.
gotta stay
Yes,
physical.
sir. Yes, sir.
This is the warrior mentality. Antoine, you talk about this a lot. Gotta be ready. You gotta be
Yeah.
ready. Almost in the militant sense, you speak of it, and I get
Yeah.
it. But we gotta be physically ready. Americans are not physically ready. That's also the studies show, Chance, that if
Right.
we are militarily going to get into some combat, which I know we're sort of reducing that because we have drones and things,
Yeah.
Americans aren't ready. Americans aren't. We're not physically there, nor
Yeah.
mentally. We'll get into that, but nor mentally, but physically, even.
Hmm.
Come on, we,
Right.
we, I have children. We need, and I see their physical education versus when I was in school.
Hmm. Yeah. Totally different, huh?
Totally different.
Mm.
Totally different. I'm saying,
Would you would you say different from the sense that like it's just less time invested in you know, physical development, a little bit of strength training, stretching? What are you saying?
I think you hit it on the head there, is
Yeah.
exactly right. I just remember just the push and stress in
Hmm.
PE. We call it PE,
Yeah.
physical, and doing things that pushed me to the limit and
Yeah.
got me strong and learning how to win even in PE and
Hmm.
Mm.
win and be competitive in a good sense, right?
Hmm.
But develop my physical character, my speed, my athleticism, even in PE. And I'm not
Hmm.
talking about just the extracurricular outside of school. I'm talking about right in school. And I remember, for example, and I'm going down memory lane, and I'm also going to date myself. At my school, there was there were ropes. They used to have ropes
Oh yeah.
in gym
Yep.
class.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
And you guys might remember this. Well, there was not just a competition for against each other, but for yourself. Could you make it all the way up to the top
Yep. I
of the
remember
rope?
that. Yeah.
And I remember most people, it was a serious thing. Boys, girls, making it at the top of the rope. If you weren't making it up at the top of the rope, you were getting made fun of. You were a fat,
Hmm.
excuse my, and I'm not trying to make too many fat jokes, but that means
Yeah.
you were overweight and
Yeah.
out of shape.
That's
And
it.
it was shame. It was a shame to kids who couldn't make,
Mhm.
at least in my school, who couldn't make it up to the top of the rope. And it was a good quality shame, I want to say, Chance, that it
Yeah.
wasn't like trying to have them go home crying or anything. Mama, I couldn't
No,
make it.
I'm listening to
Right.
this and I'm like reliving my childhood because I was always one of those kids who couldn't climb the rope. And I remember everything you're saying. Like it is all true. There's no lies. Because I remember feeling that shame. Like it's real. It's
It's a
actually
shame.
real.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
And if you tell me it's not like that today, I thought that was like a universal standard in schools. Like they don't do that no more or
In my, so my kids go to two different schools, and neither they don't have ropes. There ain't no more ropes there.
Okay.
And then their friends or their cousins, right, in their schools, I ask them also, do you have ropes? Do you climb up ropes? And I know this is such a simple thing, but it's difficult because you're pulling your body weight, and you
Yeah.
almost you got to use your legs. Remember this, Anthony?
Yep.
And your
Yeah. Oh
arms,
yeah.
and the strength and the ability to do that is it's challenging. I don't, because I'll be honest, I tried to do it today.
Yeah. Okay.
Since we have a couple parks that do have ropes. That's why
Oh, nice.
the conversation came up, and I said, Zaya, or one of my kids, I said, do you have the? No, no, I don't know. All right, so
Mm.
I'm trying to train them. All right, you got to
Hmm.
make it up to this rope. Let's see
Yeah.
if you can do it. And they're flexible. They're pretty agile. They get out a lot, my kids. But I was surprised that wasn't there anymore. And so pushing us, man, to the limit, and
Hmm.
really getting us physically ready, which I do think I'm confident there's the correlation also mentally as well, right?
Hmm.
They're both there. It's
Mm.
not just the physical aspects; it's the mental aspects as well. So I think that I recommend, as Antoine said, get out, get out,
Yes.
get a breath of fresh air, walk your dog, even whatever it is.
Hmm.
The studies to show that we need it. You need the vitamin D, the sunlight. Drink water, folks. Lots of
Definitely.
water, and some basic things. These are free things. You don't
Right.
have to pay. You don't need
Right.
$1,000 Peloton.
Right.
You,
Or a $2,000 VIP membership to some
membership,
gym.
yeah,
Like, you
yeah. I mean,
know.
VIP membership. Look, if you want your lavender towels, that you can rub your face with, do that at home. Just
Right.
get out. Just get out. These are free. This
Yeah.
is free exercises. It's free mental health, and is a part of what we need in the long run.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate you um going into the fact that you have these conversations with your children and you're making this a family and embracing family task or due diligence to make sure your family is healthy, your family is high frequency, high energy, fit. It's just important. I remember coming from Detroit.
Mm,
I used to
Big D.
uh yeah, man, coming from Detroit, I used to talk to a lot of seniors.
Mm,
When I was a teenager, maybe 15, 16, 17, I would talk to a lot of seniors who were in their 80s, in their 90s, almost in the 100. And they would always impress upon me that their goal was to live to 115 to
nice.
120 years old. And at that time, I was always thinking like, wow, why so long? And and they were telling me this used to be a standard.
Mm,
This used to be a goal that as a community, foundational Black Americans, we used to strive to live as long as possible. Sometimes we were never the most rich. Sometimes we didn't have all the favor in the world that we wanted.
yeah.
But one of the
Mm.
things, one of the things that we used to champion and pride ourselves on is having a phenomenal diet,
Mm.
drinking a lot of water, strength training, doing our own version of yoga or stretching, and taking the necessary vitamins and what have you, such that we can live a long, productive life. They would always tell me sometimes in life, maybe the first 20, 30, or 40 years wasn't the best for you. Maybe it just wasn't for whatever
Mm,
reason. But that's where patience and longevity comes in. Maybe the next 20
Mm.
years, maybe you'll see your king of the hill and top of the mountain experience in your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, your 90s. You might even get surprised and you might experience that when you're 105 or 108. This is what they used to tell me. And I still listen to that wise advice from seniors from Detroit who would say that. It's still on my mind, and it's some of the greatest advice that I've ever received. So that's my goal, is
nice.
to live a
Nice.
life where, God willing, because of my dieting,
Mm,
because of my drinking tons of water, going to bed early, removing stressful habits and
yes.
people out of my life,
Yes.
such that I can live to see 100, 110, 115, maybe 120, who knows? And so for the audience here, I just want y'all to know that Quid Pro Fro is all about that longevity. We're here for the longevity, Lord willing. You know what I mean? So, in order to have that longevity, we have to take our mental health very serious. We have to take our spiritual health and spiritual development very serious. And that's one of the four core components of Quid Pro Fro. That
Mm,
first one, as I just said, is Black men's mental health and spiritual well being. A second core point of Quid Pro Fro is we want our audience to join with us in mastering financial intelligence across the board. We want to learn as much as we can and be as involved as we can with real estate and stock, investing in stock and crypto, and looking at other areas of obtaining equitable assets. Our third core value is leveraging technology, and we'll be talking more about that. And we're happy to have brothers like Delante here, who's very uh, you know, involved in AI, involved in technology, and brothers like Chance and we're learning as much as we can and want to apply as much as we can and are willing to share out what it is that we know with our audience.
hmm
And the fourth core aspect of Quid Pro Fro is helping our audience be more knowledgeable about public policy and geopolitics, which is very crucial. You know, it is just so important to know what is going on with our governments on a national level. It's important to know what's going on around the planet, the relationship between governments and agencies. It's important to know what's going on the state level, the county level, on the city level, in your neighborhood, in your household. We're focusing on each of these levels at all times so that we can be active, such that we can initiate with our leadership, and we can get specific results that are beneficial to us. So Quid Pro Fro is a heritage protection agency for Black American boys, foundational Black American boys and men. And we're looking to advocate as much as we can for equal protection under the law. And we're looking to advocate as much as we can for equal access to colleges, universities, and high quality, access into the workforce. And we could talk about other areas, but this is the philosophy of Quid Pro Fro. This is a very new heritage protection agency, and I'm super happy to share what we'll be doing in the community, within our country, and within our diaspora around the planet. So yes, mental and spiritual well-being is very, very important, and I just can't talk enough about it. We've got some very interesting.
Yeah, no, it's
Go ahead, Chance.
no, I was gonna say, man, you said so many things there. One thing you really hit on is how important it is to live long, to live a long, healthy life. And I know that's just one of the many things you brought. I had to riff on that point just a little bit longer because I think it does get into the spiritual issue very, very deeply.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about where we come from, our tradition as African Americans, as Black, men from the United States, the people who built this country,
Mm-hmm.
blood and sweat, and also knowledge, wisdom, a lot of that too, which tends to get
Mm-hmm.
overlooked. Like the people who wrote the actual words on the Constitution of America were freed Black men, and there's a story behind that. And there's so many stories like that we don't hear about. We just hear the story about us being slaves. But the
Yep.
blood and sweat in the minds of our people are things that need to be carried on and given to the younger generation. The idea of the elders,
That's right.
holding a proper seat in society requires us to live long, to be healthy.
That's
And
right.
when I hear you both of you guys talk about this, it hits me a different way because my father died really young.
Okay.
I'm from the South, from Texas, where soul food is fried chicken and fried catfish. It's like fried, 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 and like it's you know what I mean. It's in our
Yeah.
bones to just be big. You eat a full plate, you feel good, you lay down. You know what I mean, like Big Mama's
Right.
house type of stuff.
That's it.
And
Hey,
and
hey,
and
hey! You better bring that. You better bring that hot sauce for that fried catfish, bro.
so right?
Oh
My
yeah.
auntie
Oh
got
yeah.
the hot sauce in her purse. No matter where we go, she
You got
always
it in
bring
the
it
That's
with
purse.
her.
right.
You got it in the
Like,
purse. He's bringing a little thing. Yeah.
but it's like, the thing is there's certain aspects of our culture which don't add to our value as a people. When you talk about longevity, when you talk
Right.
about elders who are being alive and able to contribute things, some good people left too early just because of
Yeah.
this question of health. And when you
Yeah.
said this thing about how sometimes your best years are after 40,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if you over here running around, with ankle problems and high blood pressure, then forget about it. You missed out on
Yeah.
the best years of your life. And I've been thinking about that so much, man. That's been
Yeah.
my key gateway into thinking about health a different way. Because for me, health was about losing weight and not being fat. But it's like, no, it's about longevity. It's about
Yes.
generational wealth. It's about being there to contribute something that's meaningful to your children, to actually be a part of your grandkids' lives,
Mm-hmm.
That's a question of carrying lineage that goes into a spiritual domain when you actually start to identify your life as a continuation of
Mm-hmm.
something that's going to go on after you're dead. And that was the way we thought about ourselves as a people.
Yeah.
When you look at African tradition, it's all oral. It's
Yep.
all
Yep.
passed down from generation to generation. There
Mhm.
was no idea of death. This idea of dying was like, that's a very European idea. The body dies, but we don't die.
Right.
But we die when we are not spoken of anymore. So you
Yeah.
speak of the ancestors. It's not just your honor, it's your duty to speak
Yeah.
highly of the ancestors because it is how they continue to breathe and live in this world. So the elder is carrying that wisdom, he's carrying that story, that lineage, and that becomes a spiritual thing to live in that. I'm going to
That's
live
right.
a long life so that I can carry that lineage. So
That's right.
it's important for a lot of different reasons. And that's something I'm starting to connect to myself. Like it's a spiritual question, not just about health and physical fitness.
Yeah. And that's a really, really good point. Go ahead, Delante.
No, I love that, and I think it just gets in the essence of who we are. Oh, and really human beings. I mean, I will universally say human beings as a
Right.
philosophical question, right? But
Mm-hmm.
Chance, you captured it. This was there within African tradition and culture,
Mm-hmm.
which we carry on today,
Yes. That's right.
right? That is us. So, but it's the essence of what you do, why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
Even it's
That's right.
the continuation of that legacy, that idea, the concept, the spiritual, almost and it's intangible that what we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about. But
Yeah.
that's the beauty of what the ancestors discovered and knew. And here we are,
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about it as we're rediscovering something that they had already they've known. We're spending a whole hour to an hour and a half trying to rediscover this, and even though I know it theoretically, when you brought it up, Chance, and also you, Antoine, I said, "Oh yeah, you're right, exactly." That I have to keep reminding myself even, but that's people walk that way. That was how they moved. I mean,
Right.
they moved back that and as our ancestors because it was the way of life. Raison
Mm-hmm.
d'être, as they may say in France, not to bring the European,
Mhm.
but that it was the reason, right, that
Yeah.
we exist is to continue to carry on that to future generations, and the beauty
Mm-hmm.
of us being human versus that of other primates and other species is that we do have that ability to tap into time, and that's
Mm-hmm.
like that, right? We can go back uh,
Yeah.
far, far to periods where we never even physically saw those individuals, but we can grab those concepts, those ideas, that spirituality,
Mhm.
and we can go forward. Oh, well,
Yep.
we can live in the present as we're speaking here in the present, but then move in the future as well, based on what we did in the very past. See,
That's right.
all the simultaneity there of all this, the past, the present, the future. Beautiful, beautiful, Chance. Love it, brother, because that's the essence of humanity. I love it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Man, no, I appreciate the way you brought it back to the raison d'être. What you said there is it makes it universal. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
something of our people, it's an idea that exists in all cultures. It's in the highest expressions of all
Mm-hmm.
cultures, you see this idea of the ancestral lineage and living and continuity of it. And how our
Yep.
people express that was, this way, the oral
oral,
tradition, the
baby.
orishas, the
Hmm.
stories that we told. A lot of those stories get turned into stuff in the Bible, and we make songs, and Elvis writes about it, and we forget that it comes from us. It's actually us. You know what I mean? And
Right.
we are the OV, the original version, and with the most cultures are a remix of it, but they add to it and they develop it based on their
Yeah.
culture, and you can see that universality of it expressed in a clear way. And so when you bring that up, Delante, it makes it clear. Although our people had a very unique way of doing it, when we tap into it, because we know who we are, we can see it clearer all around
Clear,
us in the world. We see it
clear.
everywhere. Confucius,
Oh yeah.
I'm talking about the Sanskrit, we
Mm-hmm.
see it everywhere. We see it in all these different cultures.
Absolutely. And we should. We are the original man. And it's that simple. We're the original man.
Okay,
Nah, I'm
I
I'm gonna
think
I'm gonna
I
get
was
I'm
okay.
gonna I'm no I'm gonna give some follow up, but I want
Yeah,
my
you
audience.
just
I want my audience to know that when I
Oh,
say that, that's it. We're the
Yeah.
original man of the planet. We
Yeah.
are the original scientists. We are the original explorers. And this is a self-love, pro-black, unapologetic love that I'm showing myself, I'm showing you brothers, and I'm showing our audience. We embrace that, and that comes with a certain responsibility. That comes with a responsibility of not being passive about what's happening within our diaspora. That comes with a responsibility of not being passive when it comes to uh, leadership, not only within our community and our culture, but leadership on the planet. That comes with a certain responsibility. That also comes with a certain respect that we should give, but that also we should demand and receive as the original man to the planet Earth. And that's a beautiful thing, you know. But I do want to definitely say that, this conversation is just it's so much needed, because sometimes within our culture, discussing mental health, discussing spiritual well-being, discussing our ancestral lineage and how far our people have come, sometimes it just kind of gets overlooked, glossed over, or whatever. And because we've allowed that to happen for some time, it's very easy to convince foundational Black American boys and men that, we're not much. We don't we don't we don't measure up with men from other communities and cultures, and we should be grateful for the breadcrumbs that we may receive from a job or an institution or an agency or whatever backwash they want to share with us. We should be grateful for that, like a happy slave. And so here on Quid Pro Fro, I just want to make sure that there's a totally different vibration, a totally different approach, totally different perspective to how Black men, especially Black American men, how we should be presenting ourselves, how we should be presenting what we bring to the table and what we have to offer. Like I said, we're the original man, and it's buying time that some feathers get ruffled until our community wakes up and steps 2 feet into that role, because that's a very important role. You know what I mean? When we don't have that, it's almost like not having a father figure in the home. When you don't know who you are, it's like not having a father figure in the home. Yes, there are very strong women, single mothers, who can lead a young boy and a young teenager to, a good job and what have you. But it really takes a strong man to develop and prepare another strong man for this world that we have to develop, build, collaborate with, and lead. You know what I mean? So, but in the absence, when that's not there, sometimes, we see, some breakdowns. You know what I mean? And in the household, when the father is not there. And we're talking a sane father, a competent father, an educated father, a father who knows who he is, where he comes from. That is crucial to leading, the little ones, and even leading your partner. That is just crucial to leading your household. We've got way too many households out here that are just broken. Fathers are not there. And as I've shared with you brothers on a different occasion, we have too many Black men around the world who represent the majority of incarcerated individuals who are in jail or prison. If I could spin the globe, and I bet you that the majority of individuals in that prison or jail look like us. That's the case here in America. where we represent between 52 and 58% of the incarcerated population. What does that really mean? That means that we come from some broken households, but then that also means that there's a system in place that is focused on collecting us for free labor, for cheap labor, as opposed to, a lot of us getting the necessary education we need, getting the necessary technical skills that we need to secure a high-paying job, buy a home and land, be married, start a family, bring in a high wage. What does the system want? The system wants us working for 25 to 30 cents in jail or in prison to a corporation that you should be getting 200 to 250,000 plus from as a high skilled professional. So you know which direction Quid Pro Fro wants. We want our people, our audience. Hell, we want our people to be making 200, 250,000. Flexible CEO job, if not starting the Fortune 500 corporation yourself. So the goal is to have these conversations and discussions, get as many young boys, as many young teenagers, as many young men and mature and senior men to engage and tap into this platform so that we can really begin to mold and reshape how we're respecting ourselves and how we're moving out here, because it can get a little dicey out here. We're seeing some weird stuff out here, man. And I wanted to transition because one of the wild things that I saw these last few days is I saw a brother who's bringing in about $2.15 billion. Very successful music artist, has made hit songs with some famous people that I've gone to concerts with, and you're gonna see later on Quid Pro Fro. I'm gonna produce some of that content. But one of our brothers, just to make a segue, one of our brothers, Kanye West, speaking on mental health and spiritual well-being, there's a lot of folks out here saying, man, what's going on with our brother Kanye? What's going on? At one point, the brother said slavery was voluntary. It wasn't real. That was
he said it was a choice.
He said it was a choice. He said it was a choice. It was a choice that our people made to, to go through the hell. That was absolute hell.
No, let's go ahead.
We
gotta let's straight this out, because what he said was important and it was wrong,
okay.
But it was like way more specific, because he was trying to say something that he didn't say, but he was spending a lot of time talking to, what's her name? That black woman who was advocating for Trump. What's her name? Candace Owens. Yeah.
Candace Owens
had a whole thing about how slavery didn't make sense because we outnumbered the slave owners by like 4 to 1. And it was true. Like, it was true what she was saying.
Yeah.
But it completely missed the point. Slavery wasn't just physical bondage, it was also mental. You were mentally enslaved. You can't read Frederick Douglass's autobiography and only hear him talking about fist fighting a slave owner. No, he had to look at his reflection in the water to see his face, to practice how to look like a slave, because the moment he stopped being enslaved, he became a threat to everybody. Yeah. They were always trying to figure out how to mentally keep you enslaved. And what Kanye said ignored that form of slavery. It made it seem like it wasn't that important. And that's where he was wrong. He doesn't know. Like, he's in the sunken place. Like, he's actually in it. And he's been there for a long time because he doesn't believe in mental slavery, because he's like a legit, and I'm going to say something that people might not like, but he is a genius, though. He actually is. And I know that's
absolutely.
Like, he is a legitimate genius. When you listen to like 90% of the music he produces, the way he makes music, the way he puts it together, the way he like makes these ironies, even the way he goes about his social media, what he did with the black, Ku Klux Klan, like, he's trying to embody the genius of somebody like Basquiat, like an artist, like a real artist.
Yeah.
And Basquiat was different. Basquiat was
Yeah.
different because he
Hmm.
pretended like he was in the sunken place. He was pretending like he was there because he knew a lot of white people were paying him a lot of money to be there. But
Yeah.
he was saying a lot of stuff. He was pointing a finger and saying, no, 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 this ain't right. This ain't right. And he had some allies, like, you know, Andy Warhol was in a way kind of an ally, in a way, and the world didn't
Yeah.
understand it. And I'm going everywhere with this, but the point I'm making is like genius is expressed a lot of different ways. But when it comes to an artist, the way an artist expresses genius is through creation. You have to create.
Yes.
And the problem with trying to create all the time on such a high level,
Yeah.
especially in Hollywood, is you have to be different and you have to be relevant. And he's in a world where the only way to be different and the only way to be relevant is to be controversial. And that's a
Right.
trap. That's a trap. That's a really bad place to be, you know?
Well, let me share this with you, and Delante, I know you have some points you want to share. So I'll keep it somewhat short. When I heard Kanye break down what he was saying about slavery being voluntary, um, I will say that I was, I kind of had a knee jerk reaction. I was kind of like, okay, what did they slip my boy? Who was he hang? Who laced this blunt? What's going on here? And I had some questions. I scratched my head, and I will say that I stepped back a little bit because I was like, okay, where's this going? This, that, and the third. I know for sure, knowing our history, that slavery was indentured slavery, where an individual would work for 6 years under somebody with a master title. They would work for 6 years. Um, they would gain skill sets over those 6 years, and after that, they would be free to go and work in a industry, go and work in a particular field where those skill sets would apply. That's indentured slavery. Chattel slavery is a whole different animal. And so, in trying to understand what Kanye was saying, I wasn't totally sure whether he was getting the difference mixed up. I wasn't sure. So I said, you know what? Let me just leave it alone. I'm a little, let me step back. But when I look at Kanye wearing the black KKK outfit, it had me think. I said, again, I almost had a knee jerk reaction, but I had to think. I said, wait, hold on. Didn't Dave Chapelle have segments in his show where he was, kind of poking fun at, the culture around the KKK? He had several episodes in his Chapelle Show where he was poking around, and I saw several people were saying, "What's going on with Dave Chapelle? Is he out of his mind? Is he crazy? What's going on with that?" And then I also look at Spike Lee, who came out with the movie
Oh yeah.
BlacKKKlansman,
Yeah, yeah.
and I said, "What's going on with Spike? Is he just trying to tell a particular story? Is he trying to highlight some history around this? Like, what's up with these brothers that feel so comfortable with touching on this subject?" And then it started to dawn on me, like you were saying, Chance, about Basquiat. It began to dawn on me that this is an opportunity for education. This is an opportunity for historical analysis. But, and more importantly, this is also an opportunity to be the spoof who sat next to the door. And
Mm.
and with Kanye wearing that particular outfit, I know he has his personal reasons, but I see it more within that tradition of being the spoof who sat next to the door, where
Mm.
Kanye has a very um you know uh, uh he has a lot of support around the planet. You don't become a man who is successful in music, is successful in selling uh, shoes and clothes, and he's very influential. He's got a lot of his fan base is global. It stretches globally. A lot of white folks, a lot of Asian folks, a lot of Hispanic folks, a lot of Black folks, a lot of Asian Pacific Islanders. And forgive me anybody I miss leaving out, but he has a wide audience, and I believe he's using his platform to touch on history, but he's also using this platform to be clear that, just as, folks can put on this sheet and try to be fearful or intimidating or bring violence and what have you, he's showing as a Black man, I'm putting on this sheet too. And, for whatever personal reason he has, it is what it is. But I have the same response to him putting on a Black KKK sheet as I do when I see Dave Chapelle with several episodes of him in a joking manner, making fun of that culture, which used to terrorize our people. We have to make fun of that. We have to show that in this day and age, that the things that were allowed to fly and that particular group was allowed to get away with, we have to show that, that's not going down in this particular day and age. Even if it means a Black man putting on a Black KKK outfit, if it means Spike Lee producing the BlacKKlansman, if it means Dave Chapelle making several episodes about this, whatever it takes. And I'm actually gonna share with y'all that I actually have an ebook and an audio book coming. It's called Ku Klux Coons, and the intention is to pick up where Dr. King left off, where he talked about how there were individuals who were pointing at the KKK, saying those are the bad people, those are the wolf, while sitting back and doing nothing. The silent citizen who was okay with the brutality as long as they weren't being, their feathers weren't being ruffled, or their lifestyle or what have you wasn't being interfered upon. Dr. King turned against those people, the pretend friends, the pretend allies. And so my term for those pretend allies is Ku Klux Coons. Yeah, we can point out the KKK, but we also going to point out some Ku Klux Coons. So that's an audio book and an ebook that will be coming, and I'll talk a little more about that in the near future. But yeah, man, that's something that I had thought about, and I said, hold on, wait, let me not do the knee-jerk reaction thing again. Let me really think about what this brother is doing. You got any thoughts on that, Delante? Oh,
Yeah.
go ahead, Chance.
No, I was going to ask you if you watched the interview, and then I was going to ask what Delante thought too. But
Yeah, I watched the interview. I mean, I think it's difficult to decipher because he's a celebrity. To still, as
Right.
great as he is, musically and production wise, he's still a celebrity. So without knowing him, and I know we're commenting, and this is for debate.
Yeah.
There's still we still have to touch on mental health, because even he's mentioned that he's on some sort of medication,
Mm-hmm.
and his former wife, Kim Kardashian, also mentions that too, that he hasn't been taking his medication, this kind of thing. So we can take what these celebrities are saying online and on television and take it but you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yes.
To your point, both of you guys are bringing up the artistic expression of this gentleman. It's hard for me to shake the question of the mental health from that, because largely there's a societal I would say, stereotype of genius,
Hmm.
genius being some level of craziness. There's a wildness to them, and I'm sure there's arguments to that. I mean, universally, most people consider Albert Einstein, a genius, a scientific
Hmm.
and musical genius. And I even see how they sometimes portray him as, like crazy and doing silly stuff. You see these memes and pictures with his tongue out and looking wild hair. So there's, I want to be careful and making sure that we aren't just getting into a point where we associate the great minds with crazy people or out the norm of
Right. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
You see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And I think in my observation is that the enemy within and exterior enemies, the oligarchy, is putting that kind of thing onto people, onto the
Okay.
population. They're making that association for you that
Mm.
you can't be that genius unless. And look at these geniuses. They're crazy. They're nuts.
Right.
The-
You're,
and
you're saying the oligarchy got people, standing on one hand, quilting a blanket in
right.
120 degree weather, and we're swearing up and down that person's a genius.
That's a real justice, a genius.
Yeah, yeah.
So they're labeling that for you, and so we want to be careful in making sure that we
Yeah.
don't have that association. But to Kanye, who is a musical savant for
Yes.
sure, and in hip hop and even other genres, I've seen him dabble with other kinds of genres too. There's something there that's interesting.
Hmm.
But again, I can't shake the fact that he's on some sort of medication. He's gained weight because of it. He even mentioned that in some of his interviews. And again, I'm taking this for surface value because I don't know him
Yeah.
personally, and a lot
Yeah.
of the
Same.
celebrities that we're talking about. But I want to say, uh, let's just take you guys' argument that it is for the sake of an artistic expression. By the way, Dave Chappelle skits, and his skit, he was actually a blind black man,
Hmm.
you know, cascading as a Klansman and going
Hmm.
to Klans meetings, and it's
Hmm.
humor. I mean, this was
It's
raw,
hilarious. It's like
raw
classic.
I'm
It's
telling
humor
you,
by Dave
bro.
Chappelle. I mean,
classic.
it was brilliant, raw
Yeah.
humor by Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
And we know the history of Spike Lee and he really is trying to educate you on his movies, and he will go there with bamboozle and these kinds of things. So do I put Kanye's antics in the same category? Because it sounds like you all are. It's again very difficult for me to say because I don't know him, but I would say that mental health piece is key uh,
Hmm.
for him. Is he
Yeah,
all right?
yeah.
Is
Right.
he
Right.
okay? That's the first
Right.
thing I want to ask the brother.
That's
Are
the
you
that's true. That makes sense. That should be the first question.
are you all right, bro? Before
Hmm.
because Denzel Washington, who also is in Hollywood, said you've got to be crazy to deal with Hollywood.
Yeah.
Hollywood is part of the oligarchical system that has been there, and it absorbs and it takes away, and there is a level of sucking your soul out. Our boy,
Yeah, and especially
Yep.
for black men in Hollywood, like they're
especially
they're
for
the
black
most
men.
Yep.
susceptible. I don't know if that women too, but black men are very susceptible in
Oh,
Hollywood.
no. Listen.
Yeah.
I mean, people go out on YouTube and series of different black men who are in Hollywood, and whether it's Terrence Howard who just said, I'm out, I'm done,
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm
I'm not
done.
putting a dress on. I'm not going to
Yep.
Diddy's
No, I'm
party.
not
Like,
going
you know what
there.
I mean? Like, it's so
Yep.
many alleys
What's
Cat
that?
that they try
Williams.
to get you.
What's
Yep.
that?
I was
Wait,
saying, yep. Even Cat Williams.
Cat
Cat
Yeah,
Williams.
Williams
yeah,
He said,
saying it on
I'm
the
done with it.
Club Shay Shay podcast.
That's
Yep.
right, exactly. It's heavy pressure. The pressure is different, and I think in fact, let's link it back to what you were bringing up, Antoine, which is the capturing of black men within prisons, but
Yep.
then Chance, what you're saying, the capturing of their mind and soul really
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
big deal. And
Hmm.
I'm just want to make sure that my brother Kanye is okay. That's the
Yes,
first thing.
absolutely.
Yeah.
120%.
Now,
Yeah.
let's say he is. Let's just say he
Hmm.
is. And he is doing this based on a creative aspect. I'm all for it. I'm good because it does get us to, it provokes and it shakes us up a little bit, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but, he's doing things that are questionable to me, and
Hmm.
problematic in a way that I'm wondering, is this the kind of leadership we need right now? Because
Hmm.
yes, artistic expression could be done in such a way that uh, um, you can express something in a quality that really uplifts and develops people. I will give you an example. James Baldwin was an artist.
Yeah.
He was a
Yeah.
poet.
Yeah.
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 He was an incredible writer. Um, and
Miles Davis.
Miles Davis, these people, are we putting Kanye in that level? Now he's different. He is different. I'm not going to say we're different. We're different, but how that moves you, how Paul Robinson moved me, how even
Yeah.
today you
Yeah.
listen to Paul and that voice and that
Man, that's
creative
such a good. That's a
that
good
creative
contrast, man.
mentation and how he was involved politically in trying to shift the needle of a society back here in the United States, but also in Russia and everywhere else that he was traveling,
Hmm.
Europe, Western Europe.
Hmm.
I want to make sure that I'm examining it from all those angles.
Hmm.
Or yes, I don't want to be reactionary against Kanye, but I
Right.
don't know him. I don't know him personally, and I
Hmm.
really am concerned. I want to say I'm concerned with that mental health piece. Uh,
Okay.
Close allies of his are saying that.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
that there's some concern. And
Okay.
again, I can only take what they're, if Kanye comes in here and calls me up and we're on these kind of conversations like we're doing here, then I
Yeah.
can say, okay, yeah, this guy, no, no, I know him. I know that he's doing this from an artistic, creative standpoint to really shake up the America and rest of the world. But I have a difficulty just bringing that up because it's more personal. So is that brother okay? That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Is he in the sunken place as you bring it up,
Right. Right.
Chance? Those are questions I have. And the third one is this to me right now, the leadership we need is right here on this call, right here.
That's
The
it.
people here, the people like us. This is the
That's
kind
right.
of leadership I'm expecting, and I would love to see Kanye get into that. And then you can guys disagree with me here. I want to see that kind of quality leadership here because the
Mm.
spectacle that's being shown and the way he's being portrayed doesn't put black men in a great light. I don't. In my personal opinion, for us,
Okay.
I'm just not sure if it does.
Yeah.
And as you brought up, the same thing with Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James,
Yeah.
which is they're also celebrities. I don't know them personally,
Yeah.
but we only can take a what Stephen A. And I'm gonna take a little bit of sides here. Come
Yeah. Go
on,
for it.
Stephen A. Stephen A. Man, you're a grown man. You're a grown ass man.
Right.
And LeBron is a grown ass man too.
Yes.
But Stephen A is 60 years, almost damn near 60 years old. LeBron is 40. We know he's turned 40 because, and I know personally because his birthday is the exact same as mine. So, um,
You got the same date as LeBron
same day,
James?
same
Wow,
day.
In the
man.
same
Okay.
year too.
No, I'm a little older than him, but a couple of years. But
Okay.
so I know, and Stephen A is old enough to be our father.
Right.
Let's go back to the father in the household that you just brought up, Antoine.
Yep. Yep. That's it.
Stephen A. Smith, I'm gonna talk to you, man, as a brother, as a father. We need you as a father figure,
That's right.
not going and parading around on different kinds of shows and then looking like, you know, Nino Brown and a gangster and saying, "Oh, I'm a swing back. I'm a hit this guy. I'm a swing back and beat up LeBron." First of all, you're not beating.
Which we know he ain't. No.
That ain't happening. The dude, if you look at that interchange between LeBron and Stephen A. while LeBron was on court, LeBron looked like a damn giant.
Yeah.
I mean, he was towering. I mean, Stephen A. is a tall guy. He's about 6'1", 6'2".
Yeah.
LeBron looks so big. I said, man,
Right.
he can destroy this guy if he wanted to, like physically.
Yeah.
But don't do it.
Right.
Don't do it because Hollywood wants to see that.
Yep.
They love when you're going back and forth. They love it when black men are going back and forth. So don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do that.
Yep.
Someone put it and had the camera and showed that. But I want to say to Stephen A., hey man, you know, you're an older man. We need your leadership, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the conversation I want to talk about here a little bit is ownership.
Okay.
Does he own himself? Does he have ownership over his destiny and future? And I would say no. Why?
Okay. Yeah.
Stephen A. brought up he wasn't going to say anything about this interchange.
Mm-hmm.
But Disney called him and said, "You better get up, boy. Nigga, you better get up and say something.
Right.
You better get up and say something, nigga.
Right.
Get your tail up out of bed right now and go on the circuit
Yep.
and start saying stuff."
Yep.
Because
take advantage of these ratings, take advantage of this drama, and we want to see where they want us to crash out. So they want to
get your tail up, get up. Yep. He admitted the first day because he reacted, and I thought the first day his reaction was the Stephen A. honest reaction, which was he understood very clearly that LeBron was coming to him as a father. A father figure. That's the conversation. But the ownership piece to me, I said, whoa, bro, you got up and he has to. He has to answer.
Well, that's it.
They pay his bill. They just gave him a big contract.
$100 million.
$100 million, Chance. You understand that? You better get up, boy.
That gift for Gab ain't no joke. 100 mil.
Right.
Woo-wee.
Tap dance for us. Tap dance for us.
Right.
We need you. And those ratings are going up. I mean, I had never seen Stephen A. on all these different kinds of, because I've been following it because I'm a black man, I'm a father, and I said, okay, let me follow this.
Yeah, of course. On? That's right.
And you know, LeBron, you know, in some ways, yes, he is on the Lakers, and so unfortunately, he doesn't own the Lakers.
Right.
So there's some level, you know, he's owned in some respects too. But if he were to leave the Lakers, he's still $1 billion man. Today.
That's right. That's right.
He's got endorsements and stuff. So there's some funky stuff there that you know we can kind of get into. But when I noticed that thing with Stephen, I said, oh man, that's terrible.
Yeah.
This man had to get up out of bed. They made him. They called him. He said it. No, you're going to say it, boy. You're going to, and you're going to speak on this. And in fact, you're going to speak on it every day to the present day.
Right. Right. Until he had to come out and apologize a couple times because he did say something incorrect. He thought that LeBron James did not show up for Kobe Bryant's memorial when it turned out that LeBron James was there in private. He didn't want everybody to know that, you know, he was there and he was mourning and he was crushed. Kobe was one of his mentors.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And rest in peace to the Mamba, you know?
Yeah. Rest in peace to the Mamba, who was a man.
Who's a man. That's right.
He was a man.
That's right.
And he was a real black man. And, you know, he had his issues, you know, there's problems and people were going to bring up infidelity. But look, he was a man. He tried to protect his family, his daughter, his girl dad. But again, fellas, leadership is where I'm trying to get to. And I'm speaking to the camera here. is
That's right.
right now Black leadership is what we need, and I'm looking to also help it in this and assist it. I'm not saying I'm perfect in any way,
Of
but
course.
those things are going to be critical to bind us together and get us out of these crises that we've been talking about, whether it's economic, financial, spiritual, and so forth.
That's
The
right.
chance I would pose to you was, and Antoine, was Kanye doing what we brought up in the beginning about our spiritual ancestors and how they communicated? I want to pose that. Now, that's not a rhetorical question. I'm actually asking because I really like it. Did you feel that he is exuding and exemplifying what we brought up in the beginning of this conversation as that high level of spiritual leadership that transcends time to
Hmm.
uplift our people to in the future? And that's a loaded question. I'm sorry. So
Yeah, yeah, no,
if it takes you some time to process that, but I want to bring you to back to that because we brought this up, and I don't want us to be hypocritical now.
right, right.
I want us to make sure we stand on those goals and those principles. Do you all see that? And if you do, uh, please elaborate because I'm curious because I might miss that too.
Okay. And I definitely want to ask. So before we answer that question, we got a few minutes left until it's 9 o'clock. How are
Uh,
you guys on time?
yeah,
Oh
I've got
man,
another
I
meeting, but
yeah, I gotta get going
I
too.
want to hear this, and so I'm gonna be late to the meeting. I hate being
Okay.
late to
Yeah,
meetings.
I just can I go because I have something very simple, quick to say, and I
Okay.
should be honest. I should be really
And same.
honest. Like
Go ahead.
I didn't actually watch the interview. That's part of like my
Which one?
perception of what's
Which
going
one? I'm
on.
sorry, I brought
The
up two
one, the
things.
one
You
with
talking about
Kanye and the black
oh that one?
Ku Klux Klan thing. I
Okay.
didn't watch
Okay.
it. I didn't watch it. And
Yeah.
I feel like I have a like, and I saw this comment on Kanye's recent album he posted on YouTube for like 2 days, which for the record is fire. It's like one of his best albums. It's
Okay.
ridiculously good,
It is good.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, somebody posted like one of the most commented like liked comments is this is the most abusive relationship I've ever been in. And that's kind of like my relationship with Kanye. It's like when I see things like that, I'm like, nah, I'm not even gonna look at it because it's like I can't deal with it. You know what I mean? Like I'm too
Yeah.
invested in him because I'm an artist. Like I identify as an artist before anything else. The
Gotcha.
world sees
Yeah.
me as like a black man. They see me as an American. I'm first and foremost an artist, and then I'll become all the other stuff when I'm
Mm,
out, when I'm being myself. But I'm always looking at the world through the lens of art, trying to make sense of it. And then,
Yeah.
oh, you American. Oh, you black. Oh, okay, you black. Oh, you black, bro. What's up? It's like, oh, but you're an artist. You're an artist. You're an artist. And as an artist, the world looks very different, and you see people different. And when I see Kanye, I see an artist who is trying to be seen as an artist first.
mm,
When he's seen as a
Mm.
rapper, he's seen as a billionaire, he's seen as all this other stuff, and he's in Hollywood, and he's in Hollywood where you just another nigga, you just another entertainer. So it's like he's got that Basquiat syndrome going on. Basquiat spent
yeah.
most of his, time in Hollywood, if you call it that, like the New York art scene, trying to validate, himself as an artist. And he was doing things that had never been done before, saying things that were never heard before in that world. And that's what Kanye is
Hmm.
doing. But he drowned himself. And I see
Yeah.
that, is he all right? That's the question you asking, Delante. It's
Yeah.
like,
Is he okay? That's what I want to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I'll keep my response short because I know we want to be good on time here, so we can get to our other projects and what have you. I concur with the concern of whether is Kanye okay mentally and spiritually. There's when you're in the entertainment business, you have to market and then make sales. We've seen it a lot.
Mm,
We've seen it a lot. When an artist does something for shock value and then turn around and give you a book, an album,
that's right.
a movie, or some merch. We've seen it with President Donald Trump. When Donald Trump was running for president in 2015, 2016, all he did was shock the system. That way, he didn't have to pay for marketing and campaign ads. Everything he said was so shocking. It was on the front page of every newspaper, and all of the media streams were streaming him for free while they were getting paid. So from that standpoint, I think he is a total genius from that standpoint of shocking the hell out of us. That is no question about that. So I think he's a real genius in that area. Now, to your other point, Delante, does he fit that persona of being the necessary, strong-minded, strong spiritual leader that Black American men need today at this time? I would say it's up to the audience. It's up to the audience, because one of the beautiful things about us Black men is that we're not a monolith. We're very diverse, and our leadership is expressed in different ways. And the reason I say that is because there was a time where brother Marcus Garvey was looked at as crazy.
Yep.
because he extended an olive branch to chapters of the KKK. He extended an olive branch. He extended an olive branch. He wanted to bring certain individuals to the table to have a conversation about respectful nationalism. He had some respect for those individuals who are very prideful about who they were, their culture, this, that, or the third, within the white community. Obviously, he didn't support violence or the operations that were being run by J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI, COINTELPRO. I don't think he was for that, but he was very supportive of white men who were proud of who they were, minus the violence. So he extended an olive branch to have conversations, to say, I am unapologetically a Black American man. You are unapologetically a white American. I respect you, and I need you to respect me, so we can support our households, we can support our communities, we can support our culture, and we can work together in this thing, this idea called America. He had that mentality. So this is full circle. We talked about Kanye using the Black KKK outfit as artistry.
Yep.
We talked about Dave Chapelle not being afraid to use, humor as a Black man who was blind and didn't know he was in the KKK society. We talked about Spike Lee coming out with a movie, BlacKKKlansman, where a Black man pretended to be a white Klansman so he can get information to intervene and stop the violence that they were engaging in the 50s and 60s, And so Marcus Garvey himself took initiative to reach out to some individuals who he knew that was in those organizations and chapters, who were simply in those organizations because they were just prideful of who they were, versus wanting to destroy, wanting to kill, and wanting to do some of these other sick, deranged things that some of the extreme individuals wanted to do. So going back to your point, I think Kanye is I think he is a leader. I think Black American male leadership is not a monolith. Do I think he should be commander in chief? Do I think he should be? I think he should just be himself. That's all I'd say. I just want the brother to be healthy, to live a long life, but just know what comes with Kanye's trademark. It's gonna come with some shocks to the system, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and I just wish the best for that brother. I wish the best for his children. I wish the best for his ex-wife, and I just want that brother to continue to do great things, continue to give us great music,
Right.
continue to speak his mind, because sometimes you may not agree with what the individual artist is doing in the moment. Sometimes it takes several years for us to mature a little bit and look back and say, you know what that individual did was jeopardizing their own safety, but also what it did was it may open up a conversation. Again, I keep going back to some of the other brothers who leaned in on the history of the KKK and that culture. And as Black American men, how do we deal with it? How do we analyze it? How do we embrace it? Because it was something that was only seen as pure terrorism, and it was pure terrorism at one point. So it's a very difficult topic to even take the lid off of.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So I take my hat off to brothers who have enough courage, who have enough guts to just touch this fire that for
Yeah.
quite some time was very terrifying and literally would burn down what we were trying to build. So a brother trying to um, address it or approach it in any way, shape, or possible, I feel as though it's just my job to bring some positivity out of it. That's what I feel like my job is with that situation. Just highlight the positive aspects of what the brother is doing. And again, if the brother needs some help, we keep checking in with him.
See, and I guess that's kind of like, yeah, what you said, man. I don't want to take away from it because I feel like this conversation on this subject about Kanye with three black men
Mm-hmm.
who are moving in that direction of identifying as leadership, who are trying to figure out how do we put in positive images
Yes.
that our black men can actually mold themselves around and begin to orient themselves towards. How do we embody that in our own lives as husbands, as fathers, as
Yes.
black men in the community, living the lives that we live? This
Yes.
conversation is one that's going to be a catalyst for a lot of people because Kanye is doing his job in a certain kind of way. As you said, he knows how to advertise and he's
Right.
sparking this conversation. But I
Mm-hmm.
cannot help but put a little bit of sand on top of this conversation. I didn't watch
Okay.
it. I didn't watch it, and I couldn't watch it because to me, what I saw, and this is something I'm really trying to study. I keep pulling this thing out every time we talk. Frantz Fanon, blackface, white masks. This is a
Mm-hmm.
classic because what this brother talks about,
Mm-hmm.
this is like 2 generations ago. He was having a conversation about how bad it is for the psychology for the black man to try to prove his blackness to
Mm-hmm.
whiteness.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
We have to validate our blackness in a society which calls us black. We don't come from places where we identified as black. I was
Right.
Yoruba. I was Huniquin. I was whatever I was, but
Igbo.
black was something
Yeah.
Igbo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Black was something that came after. They called that whole place Africa, and they called us Negroes, niggers, black skin, black,
Mm-hmm.
black,
Yeah.
Latin. You black, I'm white. And blackness, the idea of blackness came with inferiority and superiority. And
Yeah.
when we subscribe to that idea of blackness, which is not it's not a construct of us. It doesn't come from our ancestors. We didn't come up with that idea. The people who came up with this idea didn't even know how we built the pyramids. They told us slaves built it. That's how they would have did it. But we're finding out that's not how it was built. We're finding out
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot more going on underneath those slaves that couldn't have been done with just slaves and
You're right.
conquering and that mentality. They don't know our history. They don't know our name. And so when I put my clothes on and try to dress like them and talk like them and do what they do better than them because it's the only way we really can survive in this world, because
Mm.
otherwise we can't be average. Not really. That was like the thing I was always told as a kid, but I think that's changing in a good way. But when we do that too much, when we try too hard to make blackness whiteness, we forget who we are. We take away who we are. And when I see Kanye do stuff like that, I'm seeing him. And I didn't watch the interview, and I'm not going to watch it. And that's the thing. I'm just not going to
Okay.
watch it
Okay.
because what it is an attempt to validate blackness. Blackness can also be this. It has a right to express itself this way. Yeah, I'm black, but I can also do this. I can also do that thing too that other people do. I'm black. I can do. It's like, do it, you know,
Yeah.
and know that the act of doing it
Yeah.
is actually more revolutionary than the statement about doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, we gotta
Yeah.
talk, you know, like that. This thing that Kanye does, he constantly wants to have a conversation about how important it is for Black people to, you know, be able to be respected in, you know, Balenciaga, you know, fashion shows in Paris where ain't no Black people there, and it's like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, you want to be
Right.
respected by these like historically racist institutions. Historically, you're coming
Yeah.
in and saying, respect my blackness. Like, no, this is not the way. This is not the way. The way is we take our people and we built that up and we say, this is who we are, right?
Yeah.
And a good example, and I keep saying it, is our Jewish brothers. Like I'm gonna say it all day. They know this record. They know how to do this. We can build that. And so when I hear Kanye, this is my rant. My stand
Okay.
on the topic is like,
Yeah.
we don't gotta prove our blackness. We don't gotta express that our blackness is okay in a world that doesn't see it that way. We have to make sure we're okay with our blackness, that we know what
Right.
that means. And I don't think Kanye's talking to
Beautiful,
Black
beautiful,
people when he
brother.
puts that mask on. He's not talking to Black men, and you know, he's not talking to them. He's talking to white people. He's making a statement to white people.
Okay.
Beautiful,
Okay.
brothers. I
Yeah, man.
I love it. All of this.
Yeah, bro.
I'm not. No, and let me. I should have paused. I'm sorry, but this is just great. This is a conversation.
That's right.
And even if there's it's not going to, folks, there won't be total agreement on everything, but we got to talk about this stuff
We
That's
got to,
right.
out
man.
publicly.
That's
You
it.
know what I mean? So great. I really, really enjoyed
Thank you both,
this.
man. I appreciate it too, man.
Absolutely, man.
The same. And there's more of this that will come, but we're not ending here. We're just ending today's call. But
But
That's
let's
right.
thank Kanye though, because he kind of did, you know, like he is serving in a way, you know, he is sparking this conversation, but I personally don't
exactly.
think it's in a good way personally, but he is bringing it up, you know, he is. I mean, I got issues with it. It sounds, you know, I said
Yeah.
what I said about it, but
Yeah.
we you know what I mean? We see what it's doing in our community, how it's forcing us to have this kind of discussion, which is, you know, the way we talk about this, it is on a very high level. And I think
I
that
love
Yeah.
it.
discussion
That's
is what
right.
people are trying to tune into. They're trying to figure
Yeah.
out
Okay.
is it Robeson or is it, you know, the crazy, you know, genius, you know, who's
Genius.
like
What we talking? Yeah.
Right.
which one,
Which
you know?
we're trying to
Listen,
figure out the where it's coming from. I see what you mean, man, and I really appreciate you brothers just being a part of this conversation for the audience, for ourselves, because this is what's happening. You turn on YouTube, people are trying to decipher, break this down. We know it's not just about Kanye. We know that he's an individual. We know that he's one of many, but it really does spark a lot of conversations about what does, competent leadership look like, from our community, from our diaspora. Is it just something that's going to bring shock value and a lot of money that follows behind it? Or is it something that's going to enlighten us and makes us want to be as mentally healthy, as spiritually healthy, and as physically healthy as we possibly can be? Maybe it's some of everything. But, at the end of the day, it's really about what the audience takes from these conversations and these discussions for themselves that will benefit them, their household, and so forth. And on that point, I just want to thank you, brothers, again for joining Quid Pro Fro today and having this conversation about foundational Black American men's mental health, spiritual well-being, and our unique leadership and what we have to offer to each other and to the world. So, you know, I want to end on that note. And, again, thank you, brothers, for joining us. And to my audience, stay tuned for the next episode of Quid Pro Fro. We'll be bringing these brothers back to talk about one of the other core values of this Heritage Protection Agency. So thank you so much, and we'll end it there.
Thanks so much, guys.
Sure.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
everyone.